everybody, and welcome to a little introduction video for anyone who is either or is interested in becoming a writer for End of New Beginning. This is the console Imperialism, also the Centurion for the writing zone, and I'm going to go through kind of a little rundown of the writing zone, or as we call it, the scripter zone, just to give a little rundown and introduction as to what goes on in the zone. So obviously the most important thing going into the zone will be the Discord. In the Discord, where all the development goes down, we operate, when you scroll down, if you become a developer, into the Vicarii zones. This is where the home of each of the different roles is. We operate in the scripter zone. Here you can see the pins, the most important things, all kind of the events we use, and the different links you need to have access to. The chat, this is where I communicate to other devs, where other devs who request localization, which is, there's a little vocab word for you to keep note of. Localization is the word for the writing that appears in-game. So events, decisions, focus, descriptions, that's localization. That's the writing put into the game. So the two things to familiarize yourself with, this is the request form. Devs use this to make a little request. They put their name, the zone they're from, their request, any images or research that may be useful to the writer, and it goes into the request sheet. So you can see here, it looks confusing, but it's not. The dev who requested it, what zone they're from, so you can get an idea of what kind of region it is if you're interested in a certain region. What the request details, any of the research or images. A lot of times you can just contact the dev who requested it if you need information. Writers will put down right here if if they're working on something. They'll mark this green for done, yellow for in progress, and there you go. That's how the stereotypical job of the writer is to fill out these requests. This is localization that needs to be done for different things in the mod, different focus trees, decisions, events, whatnot. Another thing that writers do, or can do, depending on what you're interested in, is flavor events. So we have a document for that as well. This isn't done through a Google form or anything. This is just where writers can come into here. The left side here is country events, which are country-specific events that are for, say, little flavor events that devs who work on these countries may not have time or even know about to put into the mod. So some examples are the opening of the London Underground. This is one example of an event that was already in the game because London Underground was obviously a major event for England, so there was a decision to open it. So a writer made this event, and then we added it to that decision. There's an event for France, for example, over a painting. There's all kind of stuff, and let me see if I can open up the game and give an example of one of these events that we have made, just so you can see what that turns into. So if I use the console here, where you can see opening on Underground. So the writer in that request sheet put the title, opening on Underground. They put this description. They put the options, what it should be. They've also attached this image. In that image here, you can upload an image here. The date it's supposed to fire, which is very important for when they're actually coded in. The writer name, just so we know who's doing it, we can contact them. And there you go. That's one of the side projects that we give to writers, just so that the game feels more immersive. Because a lot of the times you may be waiting for your focus tree to finish out or a war to start, and there are other events than focus trees and wars that happen. So we try to increase the flavor and immersion by adding these. So this is another option for writers if you're interested in not necessarily any of the requests. You can do your own research that you're interested in. There's no requirements other than you check with the dev of that country, or at least the centurion of that zone, and confirm that this is an event that should be in the game. Now, I'm going to give a little tutorial on how to add in localization and an event on your own. A lot of times, devs for certain countries will be occupied, busy. They won't always have the time to implement localization or events that we make all the time. And I try to put in a lot of flavor events when I can, but even I am not omniscient and can't put all of them in. So what you're seeing here is Visual Studio Code. It's system, it's the software most of the devs use um, to actually code and be able to see what's going on. So I'll zoom in here so you can see. But how it's laid out, and you can use Notepad for this even if you wanted to, that we recommend you use at least Notepad++ or whatever it's called, but this one is useful for a very specific reason that you'll see soon. So you can see TUI is the name of the mod folder, and you can get this here. To open this, you can either do something as simple as open folder, and if you have the GitHub version installed, you can just click the TUI folder, it will open it. If you don't have the GitHub version installed, you won't be able to do this. I mean, you kind of have to have access to the files to work on the mod, obviously, but you can open the folder. Inside of TUI, there's these. Localization, as I already defined, is where the writing is stored. So in here, there's a really confusing and unorganized list of things. Just for an example, let's see, flavor events. I think that have their own. Maybe I'm blind. Events. Maybe this is where they are. Yes, events. Again, probably looks confusing, but if we take a look at our England flavor event here, we can see it's noted here, the data specifier. This is to make it easier to code. To actually put localization, say someone made a request and said, I need a description for the English flavor events. You say you wrote these descriptions and they said, alright, great, can you add them in? And you're like, oh my god, I don't know how to add in a description to an event. So you can see the flavor event folder here, and every country has its own event folder in the events file. There's Britain, Britain's got a ton on their own, Egypt, Ethiopia, all of them are here on the left. But for flavor events, the ones that we do ourselves, you can see here it says title, description, options. Those are the things that have localization. They translate in game pretty well. I can make this event again. There's the title, description, options. So here we would just copy, say the title. We look here, we would paste it. If we're doing it fresh, we would paste it. Then you just do a little comma a little semicolon, 2 dots, not sure what it's called, little 0, and then quotations. It'll automatically put 2, and whatever you put in here, theoretically you probably would be writing your descriptions in a Google Doc first, and then transfer them here. So there's the title. You'll paste it again, change it to D for description, and boom, I would paste the description's already there below, but you can see it's that easy to add in descriptions for events just like that, and there it is, and then it will translate in game, description, any options, and there you go. That's how you would add in localization for an event. For a focus tree, it's a little more complicated. You have to go to the common folder, the national focus file. We'll use Bavaria, because why not? And this is how focuses look. Confusing to someone who doesn't code, but you just want to look for IDs. You would copy this. You don't want to use the events file. You would use, there's probably a Bavarian folder here. Yep, Bavaria. Focuses are set up this way, in that you would put the line, this is the title of the description, and then this, then you would do underscore, desk for description, the little semicolon 0, and then description would be here. Most of the time, devs will put titles, but won't have the time when they're coding focus trees to actually go through and write very descriptive descriptions. So that will be a request we do a lot, and if a dev, for whatever reason, is a little bit delayed in adding descriptions you write, or you want to add them in yourself for focus trees you see that maybe have spelling mistakes or are only one single sentence and you think they could use some more descriptions, obviously ask the dev first, but you can add them in just like this in the localization files. Then you can save that, and if you're you would need to be added to the GitHub page, which you can ask myself in the Discord, and I can explain that. I don't need to go over it in the video. Now at this point, I'm going to go through and spend some time giving a little tutorial on how to actually put an event in-game. Now I'm going to upload this section of the video separately into its own video, just so it can be used as a reference not only for writers who are going through and making flavor events, but also for other devs and coders who are learning, even researchers who may be interested in some minor scale coding. Adding an event is a very simple process for the most part. So we'll go through that. So we'll take a request we have here. You can see our writer David has been active writing some new flavor events. So let's take a look here. We'll do let's see. The climate change event, that sounds interesting. So let's see, this is June 10th. This is just a news event in general. So you would go here. We would want to go to our flavor event folder, which is found in, let me close these so it looks less confusing. Just TY and then events. We go there, and down in this list is flavor. And these are all commented here with titles, so we can search here in the top left for news flavor. Here they are. So we can just copy one of these, paste it. We would need to change the date to June 10th, 1859. June 10th, 1859. That's just to keep track of when this event should be firing in case our KDE system, which I'll explain later, is backfiring for any reason. So we want to change this from 3 to 4, since we don't want to have the same ID again, or it'll just use the same one for the bike flavor event. In fact, to keep things even more organized, we'll put a couple of these hashes here are good to denote things, and we call them commenting out when we use these hashes. And they let you write notes, and the game won't read it as code, and it won't break anything. It would be nice if I could read and write. There we go, we've made a note. Here it is. Now we'll do the localization for it. It should be really easy to do, because this is already done by the writing team. So we want to go here to news events. And then we'll go back to this flavor event. The title is here. Just gotta do a little 0. Boom, there's the title. And then the description. Oh, there we go. Boom, there's a description. So don't let that be confusing. You can see descriptions here just like that. You copy paste it from this. Next up is the option title, which is just concerning. Stick that. Another line. News flavor. Forward now dot A for the first option. And concerning. We save that. Boom. It's done. In fact, if we looked in, if we did it when in game, okay, that didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. Alright, so now if we try to fire this event, now that our localization here is done, copy and paste it from the flavor events, and if you're making your own event, obviously you can write your own descriptions, or request the writing team to make a description for you. You probably can do at least a title and an option. But if you leave a description blank, just make sure you have an entry here, and you can just do that. You leave it like that, it'll just be blank description until you can get the writing team to do one or come up with one on your own. You can leave it blank, it'll leave the event blank, but now we have this localization here. We can go in game and try to do this. Boom. Not the right picture. We're gonna do that now. But there you go. There's a news event. And now it's not implemented fully, but this is just, you can test it. We just did this little command here. The localization looks pretty good. Concerning. There it is. So now, to actually get this event to fire, we're gonna go to a very scary looking file. And I'll show you the location of this file. It is in the common folder. It is in scripted effects. It's called KDE scripted effects. What this is, KDE system is known date events. So when the game fires events, rather than telling it at the beginning of the game that an event fires in 1,000 whatever days, I mean, then the game has to remember all those days and dates, and it just bloats the game and makes it lag already. And as we know, the mod lags enough as it is. So we've created a system where every 2 years, the game will run a check. It will fire all the events from 2 years, every 2 years. So we can see, and it explained better here than how I can take the time to explain it in this video. But for 1858 to 1859, so the years of 1858 and 59, any event that takes place in that time period, which ours is June 10th, I believe we said. June 10th, 1859, that would fall in here. You can see an example here, so it'll have days and random. This just makes it fire like within 10 days of this. So now we want to actually put our event here. We can go into the folders. You want to open the TOI folder, just here. TOI. You want to go to documentation, event calculation, open this file here, KDE date calculation. Then you can grab that. It'll ask you enter the date which you want to receive the event. Our event is 1859-06 for June and the 10th. It'll tell. So now we have this days. We can actually add in the event. But since this is a news event, we actually want to go ahead and add it under a new tag here, UCT, which is a tag that we have for unclaimed territory, but it's a tag that will always exist in games. We can use it as a base. We're going to do news event equals ID. Our ID was news flavor.4. We want to do days equal 525. And there we go. It will fire. In fact, we will write down here 1859-06 10. And now we don't want to add these random dates that you see here because we know that this is a kind of a specific date event. It has a date we know. It's not like generally in range of days. And there's the flavor event here. So that's how you would add in an event just like that. Now I'm also going to do... Alright, let's test this event one last time. It worked! Look at that, we've added an event. That's simple, that easy. Alright. Sorry about that. We're done. We're good. We did it. So writers, for those of you who watched for whatever reason, the entire writing tutorial video, which included the event tutorial, congrats. Welcome to the team. If you've already been here, good for you. If you joined us for the event tutorial, good. You know how to make an event. You can now make flavor events for us in the writing zone, or you can make your own events for whatever country you dev, whatever zone you're from. And if you are a researcher who just wants to make events, you know how to. If you just wanted to know how to make event pictures, you know how to do that. Boom, done. See you next time. There you go. In fact, maybe random people joined and now they know how to make events. Bada bing, bada boom. What? Nothing else to say. We're done.